My name is KJ Abel Rush. I'm the Director of Community Engagement with the Roger Hill Volunteer Center and the United Way of Douglas County. Today, we're here to talk about position descriptions for volunteers. And my goal is by the end of this session, you will have the tools to develop a template for position descriptions for your agency. To start with, why are position descriptions important? These are just a couple of the reasons that we feel position descriptions are important. I'm sure you have many other ideas. First and foremost, volunteer is a pay grade, not a position. So think of the most important information that you provide if this was a paid position and treat it very similarly. Second, position descriptions help make your expectations clear. I'm sure many of us can think of examples of when we've had a volunteer come and they were unhappy because what they thought they were going to do is not what they end up doing it. Whether they're cuddling penguins, and which sounds all nice and warm and fuzzy, but then they're sitting on a cold concrete for 2 hours while animals poop on them. Not the expectations that they were thinking of when they talked about cuddling penguins. The next is use plain language. As we're developing our position descriptions, we want to make sure of jargons or acronyms. An example is HSC is two different organizations that United Way works with, and depending on who I'm talking to, those initials mean something different. Is it the Housing Stabilization Collaborative or is it the Human Service Coalition? So while we're putting our position descriptions together, it helps us look at that and be aware of acronyms and helps us to put things in plain language. If you're unsure of this, give it to somebody who's unfamiliar with your program to review and ask questions or utilize software. Another one is it highlights benefits. Volunteers come to your organization because they want to give back. They have a purpose. So why are they coming? What do they benefit? They also want to know that they're benefiting your agency or the community and not just doing busy work. So you want to make a position description that engages individuals and makes them want to put their hand up and their feet as they come to you. So those are just a few of the whys. So now where to start? We are going to utilize a position description we have developed as an example as we go throughout the different parts of a position description. So first, start with your organization and program. So the example we're going to use is a United Way's Brain Food. One thing I would also utilize is if it's something that is not common, might be defining what the brain food is. So that is one way I would make our position description. It's United Way's Brain Food and a definition of that program or explaining what brain food is. The next is position title. As I said, volunteer is a pay grade, not a position. So for this one, it's brain food coordinator. It's not just a volunteer, it's brain food coordinator. And it could be brain food sorter. It just depends on, think of it outside the box, not just volunteer. Next one is what's the purpose? What is the purpose of this specific position and how does it relate to the mission of your organization? So our brain food coordinator, they coordinate ongoing program to ensure that books are being distributed to schools and appropriate quantities at the appropriate reading levels for each partner school. So this is where I said we could make our position description a little bit better if we defined the brain food program ahead of time. And then this is the specific position within that program. The next is location. We've seen this even more with the recently that there's hybrid or virtual. So are they doing this from their home? Do they come into your office? Do they come multiple locations? We want to make sure this is clear because some people might have restrictions. So for this one, we have 3 potential different locations minimum. So it could be virtual because they're doing some of that coordinating on a computer, could be at home, the location of our books, and then potential to travel to different schools. So that's where to start. And as we put those into the beginning of our position description, so program, position title, purpose, and location. So with that program name, I would also define what the program is. So you've set the stage, and now we're going to build a relationship. So what are the outcomes? Be specific. How will you and the volunteer know that your job is being done or that the project is successful? As our position description is written currently, the BAC Snack and Brain Food Program will assist schools to prepare elementary students for success in later grades. Children enter school developmentally on track in terms of literacy and social emotional intellectual skills. Another outcome I would add to this, or I will be adding to this, is the number of books we are wanting to distribute to a certain number of schools and a certain number of individuals. So put that number on that is one of the things that I would add to this outcome that we do not have currently. Another is responsibilities. What is the volunteer being asked to do? This could potentially be a big component of your volunteer position description, and a bullet list is perfect here. So for ours, it's managing inventory, maintaining a list of schools with contact, arranging distribution. This one manages other volunteers, tracks books, coordinates books. So making a bullet list of all the potential things that they may be doing. And then is qualifications. What do they need to be successful? Do they need a certain type of education? Is this a skilled volunteer position? Is they going to have to be doing public speaking? Are they able to data entry or detail oriented? Are they looking for managing other volunteers? Do they need to have access to their own equipment? So if you need an event volunteer that is a photographer, do they need to bring their own camera, or do you have a camera for them? Do they need to bring their own laptop, or can they use your laptop? Do they need to be able to drive someplace? This would be also if their potential for background checks would be something that a qualification. And then type of background checks. So if you're working with students, you need a KBI or FBI background check and a TB test, tuberculosis test. This would be where we might include those qualifications. So for this one, it's detail-oriented, highly organized, ability to work with partner schools and agencies, ability to lift and move boxes. For this one, I would also include a vehicle in order to transport books. This is another way we can improve this that is missing. So those are just a few of the components as we build the relationship. And this is how they would look as we put them into that position description. So we've set the stage, we've started to build a relationship, and now we're going to tell them how much time they are being asked to give and what type of support we as an organization are going to give them. So there's two different time components we're going to be thinking about. One is the length of appointment. So how long are they going to serve? Is this a day? Is this an event? Is this a year? Is this a board position that's multiple years? So what are we expecting of them? And be upfront. Some people only want to serve for an event, but some are also looking for some of those long-term volunteer opportunities. So for this one, length appointment for the coordinator is 9 months or the current school year. The second time commitment is hours during the week or the number of days during the week. So are they expected to just come for a couple hours? Or are they expected to come certain days of the week, multiple days? Outline that within the position. So for this position, it's 2 to 10 hours a week during the school year, depending on whether other volunteers are assisting them. So if they have more volunteers, it might be less time. And it's flexible according to their schedule, but the building access is from 8:30 to 4:20, Monday through Friday. So they need to be able to access books between that time. So an evening and a weekend person might not be good for this position if they can't access the building at least once during the week. Next is training and support provided. So these are the details of what they're going to do. How are they going to be supported? Are you going to have regular meetings with them? Are you going to get feedback? Are they going to have a evaluation periodically? And remember, treat them like a real job, and the volunteer will too. So this is an area that I definitely can do more and improve on for that. So training, start with orientation United Way, access to program areas and materials. Another one is, for me, is monthly check-ins to see how everything's going, access to additional resources. So this is another area where we can improve our position description. So the next one we have is reports to an agency contact. Sometimes the person that the volunteer reports to is the agency contact, but not always. So for this, it's our coordinator. They would be contacting me as the director of the program. But if it was somebody who's sorting the books, they might report to the brain food coordinator. So it would be part two, the brain food coordinator, and then I would switch this contact to agency contact and include the ways to get a hold of them. If it's text, might be best. You might include the specific best way to get a hold of them is text or email. So that's how they report to. The next is the benefits to the volunteer. They want to know why they're volunteering. What's the benefit to them? What do they get out of it? Are they a National Honors student who needs volunteer hours, or are they new to the community and they get to know their community? Do they have a passion for education and they get to help youth learn to education? They want to, or do they need to get to develop other job skills that they can use later in life? Or do they get to utilize job skills they've already developed? So that's what we can include here. So ours is help promote literacy and access to books and readiness to achieve its goals for the love of books among children and youth. So this is another area we could probably add some more benefits to it. And then one of the last things we include on all of our position description is when was it created and when were changes made. So this post for this position was created on March 10th in 2015. It was updated in February 2019, and it was put on hold, and it was updated again on February 2022. I would say I would probably update this, that as I look at the position description, and update it again. So those components, length of time, the support provided, and who you report to. So this is that position description for the brain food program. Said it will be a little bit longer because there's some adjustments that we have found that we might want to make to it. And within that, we've developed a template, and each template has a definition. So just as I went through here and told you about the different components and what they meant, we have those. So if any staff member has a new volunteer position that they want filled, we give them this template and they fill it in and help us to develop that position description. So here's another position that we have for just an event. So it's a 2-hour day event, and it's just an annual one. And this one we've included a member agreement, a volunteer agreement saying this is what I agree that I'm going to be doing. Above here, since it's just a short event one, we've included it in this position. Other things you may include in your position description could be challenges or possible frustrations. So at the beginning of this, I talked about a penguin cuddler. So if you think of penguins, it sounds nice and fun and to cuddle these little animals, but you also think of where penguins live in a cold environment. If they're in a zoo, it's on a concrete floor, they might be pooping on you. So what are those challenges that they face? If the volunteers know about them up front, they're going to be happier and they'll return to you, which is what we want, is to get those volunteers to return. Do they have to work on a computer? Some people love computers, others it provides them nightmares. Are they going to be physically active? Do they have to sit for long periods of time? Do they need to stand for long periods of time? Or do they need to be able to lift objects? Do they need to be able to move things? Other things could be, I'm sure there's many other things. These are just a few of the things that we thought about while we're there. So hopefully this has helped you to develop a template for your position description that can be utilized by all your staff members as you add new positions to your program.